Have a nice day.
I gotta keep on walking.
Being single is really fucking hard, isn't it?
Brutal.
You need to tell the universe exactly what you want.
I want someone who is funny.
I'll have a scotch on the rocks. Anything smooth and well aged.
I was gonna put that in my profile under looking for.
Sexy.
You ever thought about being with a younger man?
I mean, a little, but no.
Maybe a little quirky.
Did you just sniff me?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Please stop. I feel like you're like an airport drug dog sniffer.
Men can sense pussy power. How often are you masturbating?
Once.
Are you a doctor?
I'm a pediatrician.
Give me your phone.
What? No, don't take my phone.
Sometimes new eyes can create new scenery.
Everybody had a great idea. You join a widowers club.
You have hidden your best assets from your profile. It's smart. The less is more approach.
I am done with the apps. I am swiped out. I don't need a man or a woman or another date. Cheers.
If I knew what it would cost me, would I take this path again? Would I dive into white waters? I don't know where this river ends. No time for looking back, there's no more moving slow.
We're here this morning with the brilliant, the lovely, talented, and super just overall powerhouse creative, known to us as Sue Zarco Kramer. She is the director and screenwriter for Swipe NYC, which is an official selection of the 4th Annual International Her Vision Film Festival. And thank you, Sue, for sharing some time with us and for sharing your talents with the world, really. You've made a remarkable film, and somewhat autobiographical, right? So I wanted to start there. How was it nerve-wracking, scary? Did you dive headlong into kind of exposing your heart like that, your life like that? What was that initial process like for you?
First of all, thank you for having me. I always love supporting women, and female filmmakers, supporting female filmmakers. So it's a pleasure to be here at the Her Vision Film Festival. The process was my most joyful experience of my professional career, and the scariest, to answer your question. So I had always been told by my mentors to lean into what you know. And often I leaned out. I thought of like the most commercial or, things that would sell, even though Gray Matter is my feature, which came out in 2007, had some big personal attachments to it, that my sister was gay and is, and that story had some kind of autobiographical moments as well, but often didn't really lean into me. And so I would write characters that I love, but this was very, very personal. And I started by writing a journal that was just for me, based on all of my dates post-divorce. And I'm kind of proud and embarrassed to say that I had 156 dates.
Wow.
And I would write about every single date as a journalistic experience, instead of going on a date and being miserable when I came home and saying, God, that didn't go well. I decided I would use my writer's hand and be able to kind of make it a cathartic experience. And so I wrote a journal and I would name each date. And so it would be like, Thursday night, tickle me Elmo. And, and like a guy who tried to tickle me within 5 minutes of meeting me. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And then I wrote about it when I got home, and I wasn't so disgusted, even though it was like such a weird night, that I ended up saying, okay, that was a journal entry. And that became my own private experience through post-divorce and jumping into the dating world. And then I started thinking, oh, okay, I want to like dip my foot into making this more of something that people could read about and relate to. So I wrote an article for a literary magazine that got a lot of heat and got a book agent interested in me writing kind of my escapades in a novel. And I'd never written a novel. And so I decided, okay, I'm a writer. I've always been a writer, and I'm gonna give it a crack at writing a novel. And so I sat for 5 months at the Center for Fiction and writing chapter after chapter, obsessing over every single line of prose. And every day I was miserable. Every day. Every day I was like, God, I love screenwriting and it comes so easy to me. Always has. But man, writing a novel, I tip my hat to novelists, because the prose, for me, I'm always hearing the dialogue in my head of my characters, and it was very hard to think about, and I'm very self-critical. So I was like, every line I wanted to be, Hemingway.
Right.
So at one point I was like, screw this. I cannot do this. I want to turn this into a film. And so I just said, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write it as a short. And I got very encouraged by Dave Kelsey, who plays the bartender in the movie, and said, write a short. And, it's kind of like the old movie saying, the Kevin Costner movie, like, if you make it, they will come, or whatever that great quote is.
Yeah.
And so he said, we'll make it happen. And I was like, really? And he was like, yes, we're going to make it happen. And I was like, all right. So I wrote the script within 2 weeks. And from the time that I finished the script, we were shooting 2 months later. And so it's the most serendipitous confluence of everyone coming together at the right time, and this perfect, wonderful, amazing storm that everything was like, yes, yes, yes. Like going to the cast, yes, when and where, getting to Lisa Edelstein, who I didn't really know. I knew her very remotely through a friend, but didn't know her at all. And she said yes overnight. And Bridget Moynihan wanting to come on as not only an actress, but a producer, and getting the money, which was only $50,000 to make a very, very ambitious film. But we did it, and we did it in my film school way, which was, it takes a village, and everybody pulled up their bootstraps and made it happen. But at the time, I was thinking very much about just the process of how amazed and grateful I was that I was able to make my vision in my hometown, on my street, with all of the village of Park Slope behind me. But it wasn't until I was filming that I got a little emotional, that I was like, wow, Lisa's playing me. And this is my life, even though, of course, it's fictionalized and not, everything in the movie is me. But it was, when she said things about like, yeah, I used to be a wife, now I'm a man. That line, as much as it doesn't get a big laugh, it gets a small laugh in audience. We get huge laughs at other places. For me, shooting that line, I remember always being like, oh, hi. Oh, you're the couple. Oh, hi, Sue. Oh, and then at one point somebody said, yes, ma'am. And I was like, fuck, it's over. It's literally, this is over. My career's over. My life's over. I'm never going to date again. I'm never going to have a career again. I'm a flippin' man. And that's like a really great metaphor for like how vulnerable it felt, that I let that come through. And, but I screened last night to a very beautiful Park Slope audience. We had 2 screenings, and it was just amazing. Every age of people relate to this character, 20 somethings through 70 somethings, just relate on a really deep level. And that touches me, that I was able to bring something so vulnerable to the table, but people really related to the authenticity of it and saw something of themselves in it, which was amazing. Everybody in the Q&A talked about that. So yeah, it was scary. It was scary going into online dating. It was scary making this film, but I never got scared, meaning like there was vulnerable moments, but it was literally the most joyful experience I've ever had in my career.
It sounds like it. It's a whirlwind. It sounds like, first of all, there's a lot to unpack there. It feels like you're the real life Carrie Bradshaw, right? Like,
In a way, I'm the new 50 something Carrie Bradshaw. Yeah. Yeah.
But just like what you said, the authenticity. I really liked that line too, the ma'am line. It's the little nuances that you have in there that really make it all pop, like that. So, and it just furthers the authentic vibe, and that just her, the journey that Sid is going through, right? You automatically root for her. She's so relatable. Of everything she's going through, running to get into the car, and she's 7 minutes early, and it starts to rain, and so it's just meticulously done. I've rewatched it because you always go back and you get something else. I love the bartender character, really.
He's wonderful.
I was looking at his hand, and he's wearing a wedding ring, because in my mind I'm like, oh, I hope they get together.
How many people say that? And they say it after the film, and I'm like, did you not hear the first line where he says, I met my wife on Hinge? And everybody goes, oh yeah, of course, we don't want him, but that was all very purposeful.
Right. And in speaking to you before, you have the wonderful news that it's picked up, right? It's gonna be something we can all see beyond the festival circuit. Right?
Well, that's that I don't want to put the cart before the horse.
Oh, okay.
So that is prayers, hands up in the air that it goes. But yes, we're looking at a future for Swipe for sure, in terms of a series, even a feature that we're talking about. So there should be another incarnation of Swipe to follow Sid's character. Absolutely, but nothing is set in stone yet, and I don't like to jinx anything.
Okay. Gotcha. I thought was really another part I thought was really neat is you wrote a song for it too, right?
I co-wrote that song, and that was a new chapter of artistry for me. I've never written a song. I don't play an instrument. I don't have a good voice. But I love music. But that was a real interesting journey. Of that, we were searching for somebody to do the score, and we had made the film, and every time I got anyone to do with kind of a temp score, it felt so wrong. They were all talented composers, but it just didn't feel right. So then I started thinking, okay, what if there was some anthemic song that became the score, that was the song throughout the movie? And one of my producers, Cheryl Bear, introduced me to Tamsin and her partner, and I was blown away by their talent. They're incredible in terms of a team of songwriters, but they're 19 and 20 years old.
Wow.
And so at the time, they kept giving me tracks of songs that they thought would be great. And I kept having conversations with them saying, this is the feeling that I had post-divorce. This is some of the emotions that I think should be in this song. And they would give me a track that was beautifully produced, but every time I listened to it, I was like, it's not it. It's not it. I would put my earbuds in coming out of acupuncture and be hoping. And I was, gosh, they're so talented, but it's not it. And they went back 3 times. And after the 3rd time, they said, I don't think we're going to get it. Like, it's just, and I said, let me throw something crazy at you guys. What if I wrote kind of lyrics in a poetic way? Because I write poetry. What if I did that and really went through the poetry that I felt through the process of not having a compass and feeling lost? And the name of the song is Lost. And that's literally how I felt. I felt post-divorce. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know north, south, east, west. I felt that my feet were ungrounded, which is very much in the song. I didn't know where my next direction would be. And so I did that, and they said, great, her and Dylan. And they sent me back like a week or 2 later and said, I hope, let's see what happens. And I remember putting in my earbuds, and I was like, oh my God, I sat down in Park Slope in front of a bench in front of Haagen-Dazs, and I started weeping. I literally weeping, that I was like, this is the song. This is the feeling. This is an anthemic song about post-divorce and what it feels like. And they nailed it. They nailed it with my lyrics and their music and them helping with the lyrics as well. So it was a absolute collaboration, but a new spoke in my wheel.
That I am shocked to hear that this is your first musical escapade. That's just, I'm shocked. I was like, you build an image of somebody in your head, and I was like, oh, she must have been musically gifted as a child.
Oh, no, God, don't. My sisters would say, don't let her sing. Like, yeah, no.
No, it's brilliant. I was gonna ask you what your directorial style you feel is, but we're getting a vibe from it. You're just really, it feels like you put every fiber of your being into every step along the way.
I really
Yeah.
did. I mean, writer, producer, director, and songwriter, but I was also, production designer, and there was a production designer, but I'm always very hands-on. It's very much a giant canvas for me, that I really put my mark on every single level, from even the credits of working with a wonderful credit designer. But I always wanted to do, things that were reminiscent of a dating app, and swiping on our, people, not to give anything away, but yeah. So everything is really important to me. I look at every single thing technically and actor wise. I'm both. I'm a technical director, but I'm also very much an actor's advocate and friend, and somebody to make them feel really safe. And that's kind of probably my greatest calling card. But I'm a design junkie, and I love style, and so it also has to have that panache, that my films and my work has to be of a certain level. So I'm a workaholic and look at everything basically.
I was just thinking, I was like, wow, you must have gotten like 0 sleep during this shoot.
I don't get sleep much anyway, because I'm always thinking about the next thing and how I'm going to do it, and what artistically my brain is always going a million miles a minute. So yeah.
Well, look, it must pay off. You're in the WGA, you're in the Directors Guild as well, right? So, I mean, obviously this is what it takes, especially as a female, right? Because I was just thinking as you were talking, and like I like saw you on set, and you have like, your production designer there, your AD there, everybody there. And I'm just going like, wow, as a woman, I mean, at this level, perhaps it's not even a question anymore, but that they're taking instruction from you, they're following your lead. And I don't know, I just have to ask, is that all smooth for you now? Like after you achieve the accolades, you have your feature behind you, you know what I mean? You're in these unions. Is it kind of more like now, like, oh, Sue, you know, do you know what I mean?
I mean, I run a tight, warm set. So in terms of, I used to, even while filming my first feature, I made an announcement on the first day that the PA is just as important as Heather Graham, who stars in the movie, and that everyone deserves to be treated with the utmost respect, and that their job is equally important, because we're a machine, and like if one cog doesn't work, then the whole machine doesn't work. And so, it takes a village. It really does. And it's a collaborative art form. So I very much treat everyone with equal respect. There were some moments on this and other things that I've done where somebody challenges me as a female, and I will put it back to them and say, I don't think you would have said that if I was a male. And they listen, take it in, and I ask them directly, would have you said that to a male? And the answer was no. And they had to think about it. And so, no, it's not smooth sailing just because I've been in, I'm a lifetime member of the Writers Guild. I've been in the DGA for a long time. But there's no smooth sailing, but it's all about how you handle those situations as well. Like I nail them in the butt. Or sometimes you have to wait. Like if you're like have 3 days of production and you might need to deal with it afterwards. But I always, moving forward, try to teach other directors and myself that something might happen that challenges you as a leader. Don't let it just slide. You might need to let it slide for that moment or those days, but then in the name of justice, which is like my middle name, literally, I fight for the underdog all the time, and I fight for what's right. And so the only way for us to convince people of their vernacular being wrong is to sit down and talk about it. And I did that with a few people over my career, and it's been very productive. So, yeah.
No, that was beautifully said. A teaching moment. I wish, because sometimes too, and I don't mean it to be like a pointed question, like, because I think our society is so trained that it's on an unconscious level for some people. Exactly like how you said it. Like, would you say this to me if I was a male? And yeah, I bet you made them stop and think. Like, and it was like course correction for themselves in their own mind. Yes, exactly. That whole, and I love to, it takes a village, and making everybody on set feel important, because they really are. Yeah, with that PA moving something, or, getting the actor to come onto set, whatever that scene's not going to happen on time. So yes, I thought that was beautifully said. I hope, I know this is going to resonate and illuminate a lot of people. That
Hope so.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, wonderful. So you also have, I was reading up about you, a design company, a branding company.
Yes, I have a company called Connecting Dots Guru, which is a branding company that I take a brand and work with them through my screenwriter's pen and my film director's eye and my designer's hands. And we create brand identity through, everything, soup to nuts, from, the tagline to like a Nike, which I did not do, just do it. But, I wish I did. But from a tagline that could make a brand work to their colors, in terms of across the board, their identity in terms of words, their visuals, their videos, their content. And that is a side business that's actually really great and feels like a no-brainer. And nobody's done it as a film director, which it's just made complete sense to me, is everyone's looking for the storyteller to tell the most authentic story about their brand. So that's been also great.
That's wonderful. It's such a visionary, truly, truly. No, just thank you, because a shining example of what women can achieve and can do. That's really moving. I have to ask, so everybody will say, oh, well, you've worked with all these big name actors, Heather Graham, Bridget Monahan. So what is it? Is it the combination of writing, like you said, build it and they will come, relationships, how to handle it, and also too, like, you might have some budding directors out there that might be fortunate enough to also work with an actor that's, more seasoned and well known. How do you say to them, oh, I think this should be done this way. This is my vision on this. If you could just elaborate on that. Again, a teaching moment for some people out there watching that want to follow in your footsteps.
Sorry, I'm not positive of the question. So how do
there's kind of two there. Like, so we were saying, like, the writing was there. It's obviously authentic. So build it, and they will come. So you get to attach the lovely, well-known actors that you have on board for the project. But is it also something more than that? Like, is it a relationship? Is it just knowing how to network? Because a lot of writers, I believe, are saying, like, oh, well, I can make this movie if I had, so and so, if Matt Damon happened to like it or something like that. So just like, what advice would you give to people that have that mindset and maybe how they can do it? Or
Great. Okay, great. A couple things. In terms of advice, I went to UCLA Film School, and my film school posse are still one of my closest group of artists. And so we all helped each other kind of growing up in the business when we started with nothing. Alexander Payne and I went to school together. He produced Gray Matters, and was the executive producer of Gray Matters. And that's a perfect example of it's not that I had the connection to fame and fortune. I had the connection to my buddy from film school who we grew up with. So those connections in film school are key to making sure that you nourish those relationships, because those people will go on to do great things. As you can see, as Alexander is nominated with, The Holdovers this year, and many of my friends from film school have been nominated for many things, but we didn't know that back then in film school, who was going to be doing what. But that's a really key thing in terms of a young director. Same thing goes for a young director out of film school, but their crew, trying to work with the same crew, because that crew is going to go on to do great things. And if you become kind of a tight-knit crew, that's an amazing way to move forward as you grow. In terms of, material is material. So if you are lucky enough to have an agent, which most people need in this business, and that takes, that's an arduous, step to get there. But I was lucky enough to get an agent very early, right out of film school, pretty much a couple of years, maybe 2 years out of film school. And so wow. I've been working in the business a very long time, but it's a roller coaster. It's feast or famine, and very much so, making sure that I honored my connections and who I'd met over the years and kept in touch, and all of that. But all of that being said, I will say that audiences look at Swipe, and we have so many thank yous at the end of my movie. Like, I thank everyone, all the people in Park Slope who gave me their locations, the person who brought cookies. I mean, I thanked everybody. And it's interesting that audiences we heard coming out of some theaters going, well, did you see all the thank yous in that movie? They must have had a ton of money. And we made it for $50,000 and we did not have a ton of money. And it's been budgeted that it would be 4 million as a movie. And we made it for $50,000. So it's like, that's the part of like, if you create it, they will come. Like, if you have a great script, then you have to use every ounce of courage to get to whoever who will know somebody who might be that person who can jump on board. I did not know Lisa Edelstein, like I said, but like I ended up getting to her in my own kamikaze way. And she said yes. And then it became, everyone else coming on board. And Richard Schiff I'd known for many years. We've always wanted to work together. But it's all through the, just nourishing relationships. And then if you nourish that one relationship who becomes a true friend, and everyone on this film has become that, or they were that before, like a Richard Schiff or Bridget, who we had worked with on Gray Matters and together, that if you keep that, watering that plant, then it's going to keep flourishing. And then that's the most important thing, is to make sure that you keep, honing in on those relationships and being a good friend and a good collaborator, and making sure that you pay it forward, so that when you have an idea for somebody that you think will be great for the job, that you think that you have nothing to do with the job, you pay it forward. You pay it forward by putting somebody up for that job, and it comes back. Karmically, it comes back. So that's my advice there. But it all starts with the script. You can't ever have a great movie if you don't have a great piece of material. You won't get great actors if you don't have a great piece of material, and then et cetera. Then you got to get a great crew and great equipment and all of the rest, and have a vision. But it all starts on the page.
I think we're good. I just want to thank you. That was brilliant. I know it was uplifting for me, so I'm sure, and educational and encouraging. So I'm sure, others will get the same. So I just want to thank you for your time and for making a great, great film.
Thank you. We can't wait to screen it on June 23rd, I believe.
Yes.
June 23rd in my hometown of New York City.
Yes.
So yay. And I will see you in June, Katerina. So it was very nice talking to you, and congratulations on your film festival. And I look forward to being there.
Thank you. I so look forward to meeting you in person.
Same.
Thank you, love. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.